Hello friends, this is Ritesh Vashisht welcoming you again for another informative and yes, a very action-packed session on the parts of speech again. You must have guessed by now about what we're going to discuss. Yes, it's the verb. Do you remember what we did yesterday? And have you done that exercise that I gave you as a homework assignment? I'm sure you must have done that. Well, today we'll start off on a very action-packed note. That's the verb. Can you repeat what I said? Verb. It's the verb. Okay, a little about the verb. The verb has been derived from this Latin word, verbum, which means the word. Now that goes to show that it's a very important ingredient, or rather sometimes the indispensable part of a sentence. Okay, before we go on further, let's just look at the conventional definition of a verb. That is, a verb carries the idea of being or action in the sentence. Can I hear you speak that? Yes. So it's not just the action, it's also the state of being in the sentence. Besides this, the verb not just talks about the thing which it does. It also like Rama walks. It also talks about what is done to a thing. The window is broken. Or what a thing or an object or a person is. I am a girl. She is dead. So, it's not just one role that a verb plays in the entire scheme of sentences. Let's just look at some more examples to clarify things further. Okay. As I had discussed with you before, I am a student. I said a girl. Now here, can you identify the verb is not playing the role of an action verb. Here, it is actually highlighting the state of being. Another example. The students passed all their courses. Can you identify the role being played by the verb here? I'm sure you can. It's action. That's past. In the initial phase of our discussion, I said that they are a very important ingredient of all sentences, or at least most of them. Sometimes indispensable also. So we'll discuss a couple of sentences or a couple of sentences to highlight the importance of verbs. My grumpy old English teacher smiled at the plate of cold rice. I hope your grumpy teacher smiles at you also. So can you highlight or can you identify the verb here? Yes, you're right. It's smiled. The grumpy teacher smiled. Second, the daredevil cockroach splashed into Geeta's soup. Just imagine the sentence without the verb. The daredevil cockroach minus the verb into Geeta's soup. Does it make any sense? No, it does not. So that's where the importance of the verb is highlighted. The daredevil cockroach splashed, and that's where the entire gist of the sentence lies. Splashed. Third one. Raman's overworked computer exploded in a spray of sparks. Now I want you to identify the verb here. Absolutely, it is exploded. Okay, to the next one. The curious toddler popped a toffee into her mouth. All other words except for popped do not show any action. It is just this very word, popped, that shows the action in the sentence. So that is the verb. What else do verbs do? Besides doing an action, or besides an action being done on them, or besides highlighting the state of being, can you think of other things which a verb does? Well, besides all these, like as we have pointed out, it can sometimes also act as the linking, as the link between the subject and the object, or linking the subject with the rest of the sentence. Let's look at it in more detail. A linking verb is a verb that links the subject of the sentence to information about that subject. Linking words do not describe action. When using linking verbs, the sentence structure will be subject plus linking verb plus information about the subject. Now all this sounds very, very mathematical. Don't worry if it sounds too mathematical, because we'll make it more simple with the help of examples. Okay, the first one. You good students. Can you feel something amiss in this sentence? I'm sure you can. The link is missing, and that is you are. That is what is missing, and that is the linking word. You are a good student. I to the market. I going to the market. Now again, what is missing? Yes, I know you know that. The linking word or the linking verb is missing. And that is I am. What is the linking verb? Am. Am is missing. I am going to the market. I, a woman. Yes, I want the answer from you now. I, a woman. I am a woman. That is what a linking verb is. Something which connects, which bridges, which shows or demonstrates or has the gist of the entire sentence, and something which bridges the subject to the entire information and makes it a full whole. Like we discussed, you student, they all seem to be eclectic words. It's not a sentence. We are not conveying a thought. If we are to convey our emotions or our thoughts coherently in a clear manner, it's very important that these linking verbs are used appropriately and at the correct places. Some more examples from you now. Can I hear? I'm sure you're coming up with some very, very good examples. So if I were to tell you what a linking verb is in one sentence, it is the word which holds the spirit of the sentence and which tells you how the subject is connected with the rest of the information. Some more examples now. The ball is red. Is. Is here is the linking verb. The children are smart. Now, can you realize the importance of are here? The sentence would be totally incoherent and we would not be able to convey what we are trying to say had it not been for this word are. The children are smart. So that goes to show how important this linking verb is. Are. Are is the linking verb here. Some verbs are always linking verbs because they never describe an action. And what are they? Let's discuss them. The following three verbs are always, I reiterate, always linking verbs. 1. To be. And the examples under this section will be is, am, are, was, were. Can you think of any sentence which has to convey an information and has or uses them as action words? No, you cannot. She is an intelligent girl. I am a woman. You are very naughty. She was seen in the market. They were performing on the stage. They are invariably linking words and not action words. Second, the second set of words, to become. So the words which fall under this category or this section are become, becomes, became. Amitabh Bachchan became a great actor after doing some initial movies. Can you think of any sentence which has became as an action word? No. These are, and I underline it, these are linking words or linking verbs invariably. The third one, to seem. To seem. Seemed, seeming, seems. It seems you're very interested in looking outside than paying attention in the class. I'm sure you must have heard this quite a number of times. Seems. So seems here is another linking word. It's not an action word, it's a linking verb. It seemed that it'll rain forever, but it stopped very soon and it's pretty hot and dry in Chandigarh here. So again, this is another example of how we have used this word seemed. Okay, now all this while we've been talking of the verbs as action heroes. We haven't really discussed any typical sentences which shows how good an action they perform. Well, as an action hero, or to put it more succinctly or in a straight manner, as action words, they do more than just an action. Of course, they bridge the sentence and also convey the work or what is being done in the sentence. Action denotes what is being done. Scream, sing, dance. They're all words which denote or which signify some action. Let's look at it in a little more detail. Verbs express action. Something that a person animal, force of nature, or think can do. Let's look at some examples of action words in our life. Laugh, cry, sing, dance, teach, hear, study. Now, action word or the verb as we say, when it performs an action or performs the role of action, it is not just that action which is being done, also does the role of bridging the sentence from the subject to the rest of the sentence, just the way the linking verb did. The wind is blowing in Karnal. I am teaching the class now. I am teaching the class. Now the verb teaching here bridges the I with the class. It's a bridge. And here, the action word teaching is the bridge. Let's look at some more examples. Ravi is kicking the ball now. Ravi is kicking. This is one part of the sentence. Now, if we remove this kicking the ball, you cannot go to the other part. So, this link of the action verb becomes indispensable to make a coherent and complete sentence. Just the way the example I had quoted 2 minutes back, I am teaching the class. Now, what links I with the class? It's teaching. This is the action word, the bridge, the linking word. This is what bridges the gap between the former part and the latter part of the sentence to make it a complete and a coherent whole. The wind blows constantly in Karnal. Just remove this word blows. The wind constantly in Karnal. No bridge, no action, no meaning. Now, to make it a meaningful whole, the wind blows constantly in Karnal. See how the wind is being connected to Karnal. It's by this indispensable action verb. He accepted my apology. I'm sure you also accept other people's apology. Now look at the significance of this word accepted. This is what goes from the person who apologizes to the person who accepts the apology. Now, had it not been for this action word, the person who apologizes and the person to whom the apology is being rendered to, the entire thing becomes a big zilch. Do you agree with me? I'm sure you do. So this sentence actually goes to show how important this action word is. Okay, now to sum up the action verbs. How are they used? In what scheme they are used? It is subject Ravi. Action verb is kicking. Rest of the sentence, the ball. So, how does it go? Subject plus action verb plus rest of the sentence. Ravi, remember, just bifurcate this sentence in 3 parts. Ravi is kicking the ball. So I hope the links are absolutely clear. The linking verb and the action verb. Okay, now before we go on to the types of verbs, I'd like to give you a small little exercise to see how much of what I have said you have comprehended. I know all of you are very, very intelligent, and I hope to see that you know all the verbs that you're supposed to point out in this paragraph. So, the exercise is to find the verbs in these sentences. I'll start now. Jake and Dad visited an apple farm. They picked some apples and put them in a box. Dad lifted the box into the car. Then they drove home. After supper, Jake washed some apples. Dad peeled them and cooked them on the stove. He made apple sauce. Then they ate the apple sauce. Yummy! I hope I was slow enough for you to understand the sentences and to underline or highlight the verbs over there. Now I'll tell you the answers. Jake and Dad visited. Visited is the first verb in this sentence. An apple farm. They, doing an action, picked some apples and again you're doing an action, put them in the box. Dad lifted. Action. So lifted is a verb again. The box into the car. Then they drove. Drove is the verb again. Drove home. After supper, Jake washed some apples. Washed, you're doing something, you're washing them. So, washed is the verb you're supposed to underline. Dad peeled them and cooked them. What did he do? He peeled. Peeled is the verb again. And cooked. Cooked. Again, some action is being done. So cook again is a verb. On the stove. He made applesauce. What did he make? He made. So made again is the verb you're supposed to underline. Then they ate. What did they do? They ate it. Action is being done. So ate is again a verb. The applesauce. Yummy. So in all, the verbs which have been underlined or highlighted in this paragraph are visited, picked, put, lifted, drove, washed, peeled, cooked, made and ate. I hope all of you have got them right. Now we go on further. And what is that further? Now we'll discuss the types of verbs. There are 4 types of verbs: transitive, intransitive, finite, and non-finite. Can you get this word transitive? Now, this has been derived from the word transition. Give me. I said give me. Now you must be wondering, what should we give you? Give me that pen. Now till the time I didn't say that pen, you were all bewildered as to what am I saying. So this is where the transitive verb comes into action. Now the transitive verbs is something where the action which the subject does is passed over to the object, and the sentence is not complete till the time you don't use this verb. If I had not said give me that pen, no meaning. So, a transitive verb is something which needs an object to become complete. Let's look at some more examples now. Jimmy bought. Jimmy bought. Again, you must be wondering, what did Jimmy buy? Jimmy bought flowers for Betty. Jimmy bought medicine for Betty. Jimmy bought dresses for Betty. Now this makes sense. So, the subject, the action being performed by the subject passes on to the object. And that is what makes us understand what Jimmy bought. Because if we don't say dresses for Betty, medicine for Betty, or flowers for Betty, we do not understand. They are dependent on each other. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. Another example. The boy stole the candy bar. The boy stole. You all have this what look on your face? What? Stole the candy bar. So it needs an object, the candy bar. The subject needs an object. They both require each other in the right balance. Otherwise, no meaning. The hunter shot the bear. Just the way Jimmy needed Betty, the hunter needed the bear. The hunter shot the bear. The hunter shot. No meaning. The hunter shot the bear. So, some more examples. And now I want you to see how they are connected or how they are aligned with each other to make complete sense. The goose approached the gander. Approached the gander. Goose is as important as the gander. The action being performed by the subject passes over to the object. Ajay mourned old Bajinder. Ajay mourned who? Whom? Ajay mourned whom? Bajinder. Parveen smells the pickles. Parveen smells what? The pickles. Okay, now, I'm sure you have understood what transitive verbs are all about. The second is intransitive verbs. Verbs in which there is no transition, where the action which the subject does not pass over to the object. Verbs where the subject does not require the object to be complete. The building collapsed. Complete sentence. So, I'll just redefine what an intransitive verb is all about. Verbs that do not require objects to complete their meaning, or to put it in another way, they do not need an object to complete their meaning, are called intransitive verbs. What are they called? Intransitive verbs. Verbs in which there is no transition. Let's look at some more examples now. The building collapsed. Complete. The car crashed. The woman smiled. The glass broke. The flower bloomed. Doesn't need any assistance. Doesn't need an object. The wheel turned. All of them whole, complete. Do not require any objects. Can you see the change? Ravi stole. No, the building collapsed. Ravi stole Sheila's car. The building collapsed. Can you see the transition from the transitive verb to the intransitive verb? The change or the difference between the two sentences is very evident. It's very evident. So this is how these words are used. Let's go further. Now I'll give you some exercises. I'll speak out the sentence first and then the solutions. Okay, now you have to point out the transitive and the intransitive verbs in the following sentences. Number 1. He flies his kite. I met a little cottage girl. He received a prize. The ship sank. He spoke loudly. John broke the slate. The baby laughs. She ran away quickly. The man killed a snake. The girls were singing. I hope you have worked on this exercise and come up with some really fantastic solutions. By fantastic, I mean the result that all of your sentences, all those sentences, the verbs which we have pointed out are right, and that you have understood what transitive and intransitive verbs are all about. So let's discuss the solutions now. Sentence number 1. He flies. What? He flies his kite. So, first we'll see what the verb is. Flies. Does it need an object? It sure does, because otherwise the sentence is incomplete. Flies, he flies needs an object. What does he fly? And that's the kite. So what kind of verb is it? It's the transitive verb. Second, I met a little cottage girl. The verb is met. I met. Is it complete? Put your hands up who say it's complete. I can't see any hand up. That goes to show that you've understood. I met is incomplete in itself. You need a subject. You need an object. I met a little cottage girl. So, met is the verb here and it's a transitive verb. Third, he received. Something is lacking. He received what? Lottery, some money. He received a prize. So in this case also, he received in itself is incomplete. It needs an object. So here, received again is a transitive verb. The ship sank. Does the entire sentence make complete sense? Or does it need an object? No, it doesn't. The ship sank is complete in all respects. So it is an intransitive verb. He spoke loudly. Spoke loudly. Again, complete, intransitive. John broke the slate. Broke. John broke. Ashish, you have broken. The answer from you will be what? So, the sentence is not complete. Ashish has broken his pencil. Here again, John broke his slate. Broke is the verb, which is a transitive verb. The baby laughs. Can you point out the action word or the verb here? It's laughs. And it is a, yes, you have corrected me rightly. It's an intransitive verb. She ran away quickly. It's complete. It's making complete sense. Ran quickly. So it's an intransitive verb. The man killed a snake. The man killed. He must have killed something. So it requires an object, a snake. So now I want you to answer. What category does it fall in? The transitive or the intransitive? Yes, definitely the transitive. And the last sentence. The girls were singing, complete, whole. No requirement of anything else. So that is an intransitive verb. I hope you have scored a 10 on 10. We now left with the finite and the non-finite verbs. Remember, we have done the transitive and the intransitive verbs. 4 verbs, there are 4 types of verbs: transitive, intransitive, finite, non-finite. I hope you recall. Okay, we now come to the finite verb. What does finite mean? Something which is circumscribed by limits. So, let's look at the definition of a finite verb. A finite verb makes an assertion or expresses a state of being and can stand by itself as the main verb of the sentence. Let's clarify it with the help of examples. The truck demolished the restaurant. It doesn't need, say for instance, if I say broken, the broken. Broken what? Just the way intransitive and intransitive verbs are there. These verbs, here demolished, is a complete, it makes complete sense, demolished. But when you say the broken, question mark is there, a big one that too. So let's look at some more examples of finite verbs. The leaves were yellow and sickly. Were. The children were born last year. Were. All these words, demolished, were, they are all complete. They can stand on their own. Let's look at some more examples now. The girls danced in the recital. Danced, a complete word. Our mailman drove a funny car last week. Drove, an example of finite verb. His teacher wrote the answers on the board. Wrote, a finite verb. Alice worked on her homework last night. Worked, you're right. And now, non-finite verbs. Verbs which are not circumscribed by any boundaries. They cannot stand on their own selves. They need their props. You understand props? They need their supports. Like I said, broken window, broken glass, broken finger. The word broken needs a prop in order to make or in order to become complete. Okay, now let's have a closer look at the definition of non-finite verbs. These are verbs that cannot by themselves be main verbs. Examples. The wheezing gentleman. The wheezing, it needs a prop, it needs a support, it needs something to tell what was wheezing. The trotting horse. The trotting, what trotting? It needs something to become complete. It cannot be the main or the complete verb of the sentence. The jumping, the jumping jack, the jumping Jill. So, jumping needs a prop. It's a non-finite verb. The roving eye. The roving eye of God, the roving eye of the teacher who can see everything. So, the roving eye. Roving is incomplete without the prop I. So, all these verbs that need props, that need support, that need something to complete themselves, they are known as, I want to hear it from you now, non-finite verbs. Now let's look at some more examples to make things even more clear. Or rather, I'm thinking that I'll give you an exercise and see how much of what I have said you have understood. And the exercise is, choose the right verbs from brackets to complete each sentence. The wind. Now you have an options. I'll be giving you 3 options. Blew, galloped, flew. The sentence is, the wind blew, galloped, flew. These are the 3 options. You have to choose one. Hard that day. The second sentence. A cock. Now the 3 options here are floats, sails, flows. A cock, floats, sails, flows. These are the 3 options. You have to choose one. On water. Third sentence. A river. Floats, flows, swims by our village. The 3 options, I repeat, floats, flows, swims. Next sentence. The bird has flown, fled, run. 3 options again. Flown, fled, run. Out of the cage. Next. The servant, 3 options. Lay, laid, put. The table for breakfast. Okay, now the 3 options here were lay, laid, put. Next, the thieves, 3 options, robbed, stole, won all the property from the house. Next, Columbus, 3 options, discovered, invented, explored America. The moon, 3 options, raised, rose, awoke early. Next, cocks, sing, caw, crow. Now these are the 3 options. Sing, caw, crow in the morning. They, the 3 options are hanged, hung, swung the pictures on the wall. That was quite a number, and I hope you've got them all right. Let's discuss the solutions now. I hope you have your worksheets and everything in place and your work done. The right page. Okay, now, should we start off with the solutions? Okay, I start now. The wind blew. The answer is blew hard that day. Second, a cork floats on water. The answer is floats. A river flows by our village. The answer is flows. The bird has flown out of the cage. The servant laid the table for the breakfast. The thieves stole all the property from the house. Columbus discovered America. The moon rose early. Cocks crow in the morning. They hung the pictures on the wall. That brings us to the end of this exercise. How many of your sentences were right? I'm sure all of them. You are a bright class, I know that. So, we have done the 4 types of verbs now. Transitive, intransitive, finite and non-finite with ample number of examples. So, to sum it up, the verb, it's a word which denotes action or a state of being. It can denote an action on someone, like Ravi laughs. It can denote an action on being done on something. The window is broken. Or it can just suggest a state of being. I am a woman. 2 kinds of verbs. Linking verbs and action verbs. Linking, which link the subject with the rest of the sentence. And action verbs, which show the action and link the subject with the rest of the sentence. Some verbs are exclusively linking verbs and cannot be action verbs, and I'm sure you recall that. Then we came down to the 4 types of verbs. I want you to repeat it. Transitive, intransitive, yes, finite and non-finite. So I hope this thing about action and verbs and excitement is all over. I hope that you have understood each aspect of the verb now with all the examples that we have done. We'll meet in another session to discuss yet another parts of speech. Till then, it's a big bye-bye and have a nice day and work hard.